Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today I will discuss with you all cardiac cycle. Before its detailed description, I would like to define what is cardiac cycle. Cardiac cycle is the event between two heartbeats. It means beginning of one heartbeat to the beginning of another heartbeat. There is a process which is known as cardiac cycle. Cardiac cycle may heartbeat and heart rate, these two terms which are important in discussing cardiac cycle. Heartbeat is the activity through which blood is being pumped to the body. हार्ट की एक्टिविटी है जिसके थ्रू ब्लड बॉडी में पंप होगा. हार्ट रेट क्या है? हार्ट रेट इज द रिलेशनशिप ऑफ हार्ट बीट इन टर्म्स ऑफ टाइम. When heartbeat is expressed in terms of time, then this is known as heart rate. Average heartbeat is 72 beats. When these 72 beats are expressed in terms of minutes or seconds, then this is known as heart rate. Now the question arises, how cardiac cycle is initiated? Which processes are responsible for initiating cardiac cycle? Cardiac cycle is initiated because of electrical impulses which are generated from SA node. What is SA node? SA node is a pacemaker. What is a pacemaker? Pacemaker is a device which will generate electrical impulses. Nature has gifted human heart with natural pacemaker. One of these pacemaker is SA node. Pacemaker consists of bundles of fibers. SA node is basically responsible for generating electrical impulses. SA node ने electrical impulses generate ही. SA node is present at the top of atria. Atria में वो impulses transfer हुई. Atria ने further उन impulses को transfer किया towards AV bundle. AV means atrioventricular bundle. Atrioventricular bundle is present between atria and ventricle. Then these electrical impulses are transmitted to ventricles. These ventricles when receive these electrical impulses, there occur various processes. We will discuss them in detail. Phases of cardiac cycle. There are two phases of cardiac cycle, diastole and systole. The word T remains silent and it is pronounced as diastole and systole. Diastole is also known as complete cardiac diastole. Complete cardiac diastole is a phase in which both atria and ventricle remain in relaxed state. Just filling of blood is taking place in that state. Atria और ventricle में filling of blood हो रही है लेकिन आगे blood pump नहीं हो रहा. This phase is about 0.4 seconds. Second phase is systole. Systole take place in atria as well as in ventricle. But atria में जो सिसली है इट इज़ डिफरेंट फ्रॉम वेंट्रिकल इन दैट सेंस कि एट्रिया का 80% ब्लड थ्रू एट्रिया एक्ट एज अ पंप और उसका 80% ब्लड डायरेक्टली वेंट्रिकल में ट्रांसफर हो जाता है. सिर्फ 20% ब्लड ऐसा है जो एट्रियल सिसली के थ्रू वेंट्रिकल्स में एंटर होगा. इसी वजह से हम एट्रिया को प्राइमरी पंप भी कहते हैं, बिकॉज इट इज़ एबल टू ट्रांसफर 80% ब्लड विदाउट एनी कॉन्ट्रैक्शन इनटू द वेंट्रिकल. 20% ब्लड ये ट्रांसफर करेगा थ्रू कॉन्ट्रैक्शन इनटू वेंट्रिकल. एट्रियल सिसली की ड्यूरेशन 0.1 सेकेंड है, वेरी स्मॉल ड्यूरेशन एज कम्पेयर टू वेंट्रिकल सिसली इट इज़ 0.3 सेकेंड. नाउ द ब्लड एंटर इन एट्रिया फर्स्ट through veins. When blood enter in atria first, pressure is generated in atria. अब एट्रिया में प्रेशर जनरेट हुआ. इसके 3 फेजेस है कि वो प्रेशर जनरेट कैसे हुआ और प्रेशर जनरेट हो गया तो व्हाट आर इट्स आफ्टर इफेक्ट्स. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, स्लो फ्लो ऑफ ब्लड इन एट्रिया थ्रू वेन्स. Then there is atrial contraction. When enough pressure is generated in atria will contract because 80% blood तो वो as a pump transfer कर चुका है. जो 20% blood है it also needed to be transfer. उसके लिए atria को contraction की requirement है. Now atria contract. Atria contraction will take place. Atrial contraction के result में blood ventricle में चला गया. Now atria will receive again the blood from veins and this is known as backflow of blood in atria. So there are 3 phases which are taking place and this will cause pressure changes in atria. These phases are represented by waves in graph. This y-axis show pressure and in y-axis we have seen V wave shows filling of atria, slow filling of atria. That's why there is a gradual increase in atrial V wave. Then there is A wave. A wave shows contraction of atria, or this A wave is compared with V wave and this is much smaller than V wave because इसमें atria की contraction हुई है और blood जो है यहाँ से further pump हो गया. Then there is C wave. C wave is the refilling of atria with blood. This is the elevated portion of this graph. Why this is elevated? Because in that state refilling of atria take place and pressure is much more greater than both these waves. So these are the pressure changes in atria. Now what happens to ventricle? We will discuss them also. Ventricles during dysleep. Ventricles are in relaxed state. Blood from atria 80% directly through pump action of atria and 20% through atrial contraction enters into ventricle. This is known as rapid filling of ventricles. Why is this is known as rapid filling? Because इसमें quickly blood ventricles में enter हो रहा है. Now blood is entered in ventricle. Now what happens next? Ventricles during Sisley. Ventricles during Sisley undergo 3 phases. Number 1 phase or number 1 period is known as period of isovolamic contraction. Iso means same, volumic means volume. It means blood enter into ventricle. Ventricle will contract, but this pressure of blood is not enough to pump ventricle to the next pathway. Next pathway ventricles का क्या है? Right ventricle ने pulmonary artery में इसको transfer करना है so that it will be carried to lungs, और जो left ventricle है उसने उसको aorta में transfer करना है through aortic valve which will be carried to body. अब period of isovolamic contraction वो phase है ventricle का जिसमें ventricles are contracted, लेकिन pressure enough नहीं है कि ventricles अपने blood को further aortic valve में enter करवा सके और aortic valve open हो सके. Aortic valve की opening के लिए एक specific pressure required है. Ventricle से blood directly aorta में enter नहीं होता. Aortic valves are opening is required. लेकिन aortic valve की opening के लिए pressure का build-up होना ज़रूरी है. Ventricle में अभी blood का pressure enough नहीं है. That's why aortic valves are not opening. इस state को हम period of isovolamic contraction कहते हैं कि ventricles are contracted but their blood are not being pumped in aorta. Next is period of ejection. Now ventricles have built up enough pressure. Now aortic valve open, period of rapid ejection. Quickly, 70% blood quickly enters in aorta. Period of slow ejection. Period of slow ejection means 70% quickly enter हो गया aorta में. Then the pressure of ventricle fall और जो remaining blood है 30% वो slowly and steadily aorta में enter हो रहा है through aortic valve. Now all the blood 100% enter into aorta. Now aortic valve close. What will happen to ventricles at that time? They undergo isometric relaxation. They undergo relaxation in which again ventricles will fill themselves with blood received from atria. This is being shown here with the help of graph. In the beginning, the pressure of the blood in ventricle is 0. No pressure of blood is being generated. Slowly and steadily, they generate the pressure and blood is coming and blood is generating pressure over there. This is the isovolumetric contraction. Ventricles are contracting लेकिन कोई blood transfer नहीं हो रहा. Then enough pressure is generated. Ejection phase receive हो गया. Ejection में quick ejection हो गई and slow ejection हो गई. Then again ventricles में जो pressure था blood का वो fall हो गया. Aortic valve close हो गए और ventricles undergo isovolamic relaxation and their pressure graph decreases. अब ventricle में blood का pressure कम हो गया because highly pressure जो blood था वो aorta में pump हो चुका है. Now we received 3 types of volume which we are going to discuss over there. End-diastolic volume. End-diastolic volume is the volume when ventricles are completely filled with blood और डायस्ली के बाद जो वॉल्यूम वेंट्रिकल्स ने अटेन किया है उसको हम एंड डायस्लिक वॉल्यूम कहते हैं. ये 110 से 120 मिलीलीटर होता है. एंड सिस्लिक वॉल्यूम वो वॉल्यूम है जो कि वेंट्रिकल्स कॉन्ट्रैक्शन के बाद जो वॉल्यूम ऑफ ब्लड रिमेन इन वेंट्रिकल, दिस वॉल्यूम इज नॉन एज एंड सिस्लिक वॉल्यूम. एंड सिस्लिक वॉल्यूम इज दैट वॉल्यूम ऑफ ब्लड विच रिमेन्स इन वेंट्रिकल after their contraction and it is about 40 to 50 milliliter. Stroke volume output is that blood which is being pumped by ventricle. and it is 70 milliliter. So total blood 120 था, in which ventricles keep 50 milliliter of blood in themselves. 70 milliliter of blood is being transferred to aortic valve through aorta. Now, next, we have discussed about the pressure of atria and ventricle. Now we discuss about aortic pressure. Aortic pressure also generated. Aorta में blood enter हुआ, aorta also exert, aorta में blood ने pressure को exert किया. Aorta का one thing over there which is important is that aorta pressure is not always zero, just like ventricle. Ventricle pressure is always zero, but aorta में blood का pressure हमेशा 80 millimeter of mercury present होता है, even if ventricle do not contract and do not transfer their blood into aorta. 80 millimeter of mercury pressure of blood is always present in aorta, और उसको हम diastolic pressure कहते हैं. नाउ एओर्टिक वाल्व ओपन. जब वेंट्रिकल्स में ब्लड का प्रेशर 80 मिलीमीटर को क्रॉस किया, एओर्टिक वाल्व ओपन हो गए. एओर्टिक वाल्व ओपन होने से एकदम से एओर्टा का प्रेशर इंक्रीज हो गया और 120 मिलीमीटर ऑफ मर्करी तक रीच हो गया. अब 120 मिलीमीटर ऑफ मर्करी तक एओर्टा का प्रेशर रीच हुआ. नाउ वेंट्रिकल्स का प्रेशर डाउन होने लग गया. एओर्टिक वाल्व क्लोज हो गए, बिकॉज एओर्टिक वाल्व की क्लोजिंग के लिए वेंट्रिकल्स में इनफ प्रेशर होना ज़रूरी है. अब एओर्टिक वाल्व क्लोज हो गए. जैसे ही एओर्टिक वाल्व क्लोज हुए, जो ब्लड एओर्टा में एंटर हुआ था, इट विल बैक फॉल, वो पीछे की तरफ वापस आएगा और वो एओर्टिक वाल्व को हिट करेगा, जिसके रिजल्ट में वी विल रिसीव एन इंस्यूरा इन अ ग्राफ. दिस इज नॉन एज इंस्यूरा और एओर्टिक आर्च. ये इस चीज़ को शो कर रहा है कि एओर्टिक वाल्व जैसे ही क्लोज हुए, बैक फ्लो ऑफ ब्लड फ्रॉम एओर्टा टूवर्ड्स द वेंट्रिकल टेक प्लेस. लेकिन वो वाल्व्स क्लोज हो चुके थे, सो दिस ब्लड विल फॉल ऑन एओर्टिक वाल्व और वी विल रिसीव दैट इंस्यूरा इन अ ग्राफ. So aortic pressure before ventricle contraction is 80 millimeter of mercury, and aortic pressure after ventricle contraction is 120 millimeter of mercury. So these are all about pressure changes which occur in cardiac cycle. Next we will discuss about heart sounds. So we are here with heart sounds. The sounds which are produced by heart is known as heart sounds. There are 4 sounds produced by heart. First heart sound and second heart sound are audible to us. Rest 2 are not audible. First heart sound is produced when atrioventricular valve close. It means atria has pumped all the blood to ventricles. Now AV valves close and we heard a sound which is a lup sound, and this is the first heart sound. It is a long lasting sound. Second heart sound is heard when aortic and pulmonary valves close. It means ventricles ने सारा blood aorta में और pulmonary pathway में transfer कर दिया. अब aortic and pulmonary valve close हो गया because there is no enough pressure in ventricles कि वो further blood को transfer करे. Aortic and pulmonary valves close हो गए और एक dub sound produce हुआ. It is a short period sound. Third heart sound is produced when there is rapid filling of blood in ventricles. जब ventricle में ब्लड फिल हो रहा होता है, तब वो जो ब्लड फ्लो करता है उस वक्त भी एक साउंड प्रोड्यूस होता है, उसको हम थर्ड हार्ट साउंड कहते हैं. बट दिस इज नॉट ऑडिबल टू अस थ्रू स्टेथोस्कोप. फोर्थ हार्ट साउंड इज प्रोड्यूस्ड व्हेन ब्लड इज बीइंग फिल्ड इन एट्रिया. जब एट्रिया में ब्लड फिल हो रहा होता है तो उस वक्त एट्रियल गैलप जिसे कहते हैं, उस वक्त फोर्थ हार्ट साउंड प्रोड्यूस होता है. बट दिस इज ऑल्सो नॉट ऑडिबल टू अस. Third and fourth sound are not audible in normal state, but in pathological state it becomes murmur and it is audible to us. This is not नॉर्मल स्टेट. और इस स्टेट में ये होता है कि जो ब्लड है वैसे उसका स्मूथ फ्लो होता है, लैमिनर फ्लो होता है, लेकिन जब ब्लड का फ्लो टर्ब्यूलेंट या इरेगुलर हो जाए, और देन वी हर्ड दीज 2 साउंड्स, थर्ड हार्ट साउंड एंड फोर्थ हार्ट साउंड, विच इज़ नॉट अ नॉर्मल स्टेट. These heart sounds are also shown in a graph which are known as Phonocardiogram. These graph shows 2 sounds which are being produced. One sound is produced by AV valve closure and the second sound is produced by aortic and pulmonary valve closure. The rest of sounds are also produced but not audible to us much. That's why we received only 2 lub-dub sounds in stethoscope. So this is all about heart sounds and cardiac cycle. Thank you so much.